Okay. I have my mics on.
Yeah, I'm on the job. I'm on the job. Okay. Okay, just let's do Am Yisrael. Fine. Now.
Oh, there we go. Okay. That's loud.
Am Yisrael.
Hi, I'm Israel. Hi, I'm Israel. Hi, 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 hi. I'm Israel. Hi, I'm Israel. Hi, I'm Israel. Hi. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Chai. Hey, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Chai. Hey, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Chai. Od Avinu, Chai. I'm Israel.
We're good. All right, Simon? What'd you say? Probably. Okay. See, we're going to do the Amyas. Yeah, we're going to take the repeat. Yeah. We're going to take the repeat. Okay, Simon, the microphone is on.
It is.
It is. It's on live stream.
I know.
So is this. Okay.
Oh.
Right. Okay. Okay.
I know.
Silence it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not like.
Okay, I'm going to get you more water. Here, why don't you drink this and I'm going to get you another water bottle.
I appreciate it, genuinely. You can sit there.
And the Rabbi Leifman is on Shabbat. So you're just stuck with me tonight.
And me as well. She took me out of the equation. I'm her son.
But he's singing too. Yes.
I'm singing today.
Yeah, you're a big deal, Simon.
I hope so.
Keep take mine off too.
Oh, yeah, and it's because I ate cheese today. What, the people can know? It's sort of a secret.
Shabbat Shalom. Welcome everyone who is here in person or on our live stream to Monmouth Reformed Temple. We are joined on the Bima tonight with Dr. Barbara Thompson. This will be the last Friday she plays with us until the end of the summer. And we so appreciate how she has been driving here from Easton, Pennsylvania. And we do not take you for granted, Barbara. Also joining me on the Bima is my son, Simon Clissold.
Hiya. Whoa. Let's turn that down a little bit.
Okay. All right, Simon. So we are just so grateful that you're here tonight. Most of our worship service is in the Blue Prayer Book, which you can find near you or below you or behind you, depending on where you are in the sanctuary. And I think most everybody knows this, but it never hurts to say. Remember, the prayer book is written in the Hebrew direction, from right to left. And remember that if I'm singing something in Hebrew and you don't know what I'm singing, there's a translation nearby, and there's a transliteration next to it if you would like to try to sing along if you don't yet know Hebrew. But fortunately for us tonight, we are joined on the Bima by as well, Dory and Harry Hilson, who are going to come help us lead the candles and Kiddush after we sing our opening prayer, Hine Matov. So our Hine Matov can be found on page 128 in your Blue Prayer Book.
Hine Matov. Umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Back to beginning.
Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine matov
Hine matov
umanayim
shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine matov
Hine matov
umanayim
shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
We now invite up Dory and Harry. We are on page 120.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And now we continue with the next page with our Kiddush.
Oh, read it first.
Yes, read first.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Okay, lift up your grape juice. Dora, you are also invited to have grape juice. We join together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzah banu, v'shabbat kodsho, ve'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereishit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra kodesh, zecher yetziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava u'ratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim. Shabbat Shalom. So nice to have people at our worship service. It's so nice to have someone laugh at my joke, Simon, but I meant it seriously. Well, let's say certain people. So, I'm joking. We're going to continue on page 264 of your prayer book. And after you found the page number, please rise. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Baruch et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed. We read together in the English on page 266. Will this side of the room read the first two lines with me, and will this side of the room read the alternating lines with Simon? So my side begins. In each age, we receive and transmit Torah. In each moment, we are addressed by the world.
In each age, we are challenged by our ancient reading. At each moment, we stand face to face with truth.
In each age, we add our wisdom to that which has gone before. At each moment, the knowing heart is filled with wonder.
In each age, the children of Torah become its builders and seek to set the world firm on a foundation of truth.
Together, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. We're on page 268. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך,
ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברתם בעם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, ושרתם מאוד על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך, למען תזכרו, ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We read together responsively on page 269, and this time, Simon, your group will lead and we will answer on the indentations on the bottom of 269.
We worship the power that unites the universe, a promise of harmony for all.
Yet that oneness eludes our grasp as imperfection and evil abound.
Before our eyes there is a vision of perfection, order, and goodness.
There is evil enough to break the heart, and there is good enough to exalt the soul.
When will redemption come?
When we grant everyone what we claim for ourselves.
Long ago, we escaped the tyranny of Egypt. Our people saw the power of the Most High.
We learn God's presence redeems time and event, so we celebrate the power that makes for freedom. We are on page 270.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש.
נורא
תהילות
עושה
פלא,
נורא
תהילות
עושה
פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ובניך, בוגע ים לפני משה מרים, זה אלינו ויענו, זה אלינו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
Back to the top.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש.
נורא
תהילות
עושה
פלא,
נורא
תהילות
עושה
פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
We continue on page 272 with our prayer that rejoices in the beauty of the Sabbath, Yismachu.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך בכל עונג. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך בכל עונג. עד מקדשי שביעי כולם ישמחו ונתעמרו בעיניך, והשביעי רצית בו וכי קדשתו.
At least it was Hebrew.
ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת, ישמחו במלכותך בכל עונג. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך בקוראי עונג.
Bottom two lines.
עדת ימים באותות קראת, זכר למעשה, זכר למעשה בראשית. עדת ימים באותות קראת, זכר למעשה, זכר למעשה בראשית. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך בקוראי עונג. ישמחו במלכותך שומרי שבת. ישמחו במלכותך בקוראי עונג.
We continue on page 273 with our Amidah. This is a prayer that spans 1, 2, 3, 4 pages. And it's traditional, if you wish, to rise when we say this prayer. And it goes through the lineage of our forefathers and our foremothers, and then also reminds us of the redemption that God has provided for us to make it so we could be here today. So please rise if you wish.
Adonai sefatai titach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Eloheinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Ha'gibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh Lakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, Ve'viguna Nivnei Mehem, Leman Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Gozer Mashiach Magim, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham V'Ratzah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Michnei Kol atah, Ram Le'Oshia, Morid atah, Mechayel Chaim V'Chesed, Mechayel Hakol V'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Dervei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Nishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umidolechach, Melech Memit Umechayem, Umatzmiya Yeshua, Mineman atah Hayot Hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kedoshim b'chol yom yahalelucha Selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We read together on page 281, thanking God. So we'll do this where my side will start and Simon's side will answer on the top of 281. If I said a different page, I'm sorry. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and our hands, we offer praise.
For the desire in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For life and nature, harmony and beauty, for the hope of tomorrow, all praise to the source of being.
And then we jump to the bottom together. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lahodot. And then together on 282, we sing our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atanu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki atanu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'necha le'arich et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'necha le'arich et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
We now pray silently, and when we reconvene, we will be on page 285.
יהיו לרצון עם רפי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי וגואלי, וגואלי.
We continue in our worship service with our reading of Torah. And if you could please turn to page 364. And I'd like to invite up our Torah reader to help us with getting the Torah. So please rise. 364.
Susharim Roshechem v'chinasu pitchei olam ve'yavom melech hakavod v'hu ze melech hakavod Adonai tzvaot u'melech hakavod
Not yet.
ומלך הכבוד, סלע, סלע. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. לך אדוני גדולה, לך גבורה, התפארת והנצח וההוד. כי
כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני המלאכה, אני נעשה לכל ראש. Please be seated. You can find your Torah reading on page 1145 in the red or maroon Torah commentary. Asher is reading it's the portion from his bar mitzvah. So Asher is reading the same that thing that he did 8 years ago. And John and I were very happy that he agreed to do this on his 21st birthday. And Simon's celebrating his 17th birthday this Sunday. So we have a lot to celebrate in the Clissold family. And we are, again, very grateful that Asher and Simon agreed to help us tonight. So Simon will begin with the blessing.
Baruch Hu Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
וידבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור. זאת חוקת התורה אשר ציווה אדוני לאמור. דבר אל בני ישראל. ויקחו אליך פרה אדמה תמימה אשר אין בו מום אשר לא עלה עליה עול, ונתנתם אותה אל אלעזר הכהן, והוציא אותה אל מחוץ למחנה, ושחט אותה לפניו, ולחץ אלעזר הכהן מדמה באצבעו, והיזה אל נוחן פני אוהל מועד מדמה 7 פעמים.
Yasher Koch.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And this is what Asher just read. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "This is the ritual law that the Lord has commanded. Instruct the Israelite people to bring you a red cow without blemish." You guys, you probably can be heard on the sound system. "In which there is no defect, and on which there is no yoke that has been laid. You shall give it to Eleazar the priest. It shall be taken outside the camp and slaughtered in his presence. Eleazar the priest shall take some of his blood with his finger and sprinkle it 7 times toward the front of the tent of meeting." Okay, am I pumped?
Oh, I can do it.
Which one of you wants to do it?
Well, oh, you're.
Yeah,
Oh,
all right.
please do. Oh,
Please
okay.
rise. Please rise. This song.
Torah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Israel afi Adonai beyad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Israel afi Adonai beyad Moshe.
Lai 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 lai.
Lai 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 lai.
Lai 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 lai.
Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai.
Okay, Asher, you stand next to Simon, And if in our congregation we could turn to page 371. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. Tonight we are especially thinking of Bernard Shagan, Stanley Ostroff, Rabbi Robert Ourach, Mary Leverett, Lorraine Rothman, Chris Leverett, Rebecca Carey, James Appio, Mark Carey. And if there are names that you would like to add to the list, I invite you to do so at this time. I'll start over on this side, and we'll go over to this side. Andrew Davidson, George Fern, Jeffrey Feuden, Sandra Jessup. We sing together our Misha Berach prayer on page 371 in the middle.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'Yimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Ve'Avotenu. As those in need of healing, with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We add in 2 additional special prayers for this evening. They are not found in your prayer book. First, we are honoring officially on Sunday our fathers. And I add this prayer. Adonai, our God, thank you for all the fathers and father figures in this world, and for the many ways they lovingly guide us. We pray that you bless them and give them great joy and peace. May they be blessed by knowing how much they have enriched their children and grandchildren with humor, bad jokes that are funny, refusal to ask directions, calm in a crisis, generosity in giving advice, and unconditional love. Adonai, guide their steps and make for them that they shall always be a blessing to others as you continue to fulfill your special purpose for them in their lives. And we also add a special blessing on the federal holiday and observance of Juneteenth. So a little background before we have that prayer. The Jewish community has historically supported the civil rights movement. In fact, statistically, Jews are one of the most actively involved as non-Black allies in the civil rights movement. Many Jewish students worked in concert with African Americans as full-time organizers and summer volunteers during the civil rights movement. And Jews made up roughly half of the white Northern volunteers involved in the 1964 Mississippi Freedom Summer Project, and approximately half of the civil rights attorneys active in the South in the 1960s. Jewish leaders were arrested while heeding the call from Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in St. Augustine, Florida, in June of 1964, where the largest mass arrest of rabbis. Let me just say, there aren't usually mass arrests of rabbis in general, but this was the largest mass arrest of rabbis in all of American history. And Abraham Joshua Heschel, a writer, a rabbi, a professor of theology at the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York, was an outspoken person on the subject of civil rights, and he proudly walked arm in arm with Dr. King in 1965 in Selma to Montgomery. In the Mississippi Civil Rights Workers' murders in 1964, 2 white activists were killed, both Jewish, Andrew Goodman and Michael Schwerner. Therefore, it is continually appropriate in a Jewish context to commemorate the new federal observance of Juneteenth, as we have always been active partners in the American Civil Rights Movement. Specifically acknowledging the suffering of one group does not devalue the suffering of anyone else. And the purpose of prayer is to help all of us remember to pray, whether for Israel or for fathers or for those who have suffered because of the color of their skin. As we also pray for those who are ill, prayer helps us be what God intended for us. And so now I give you our prayer. Creator of life, source of compassion, your breath remains the source of our spirit, even as too many of us cry out that sometimes we cannot breathe. Lovingly created in your image, the color of our bodies has often imperiled our lives. Black lives are commodified, yet devalued, imitated but feared, exhibited but not seen. Black lives have been pursued by hatred, abandoned by indifference, and betrayed by complacency. Black lives have been lost to the violence of the vigilante, the cruelty of crime, and the silence of the comfortable. We understand that life is sacred, inherently valuable and irreplaceable, and we know that to oppress the body of the human is to break the heart of the divine. And we yearn for the day when the bent shall stand straight, and we pray that the hearts of our country will soften to the pain endured for centuries, as we have always asked the world to do for us, the Jewish people. We continue to do work to bind up our wounds and to heal the shattered hearts and to break the yoke of oppression. As the beauty of the heavens is revealed to us each day, may each day reveal to us the beauty of all of common humanity. And may this new official observance of Juneteenth open our hearts and help us make the world a better place. Amen.
Amen.
So we shall now return the Torah to the Ark, and we are on page 374. It is a
Tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life to those who hold fast to it. All of its supporters are happy. Shalom, shalom, it is a tree. Shalom, shalom, it's not a bush. Shalom, shalom, the tree of life. Shalom, shalom.
It is
The tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is the tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy.
Shalom. Please be seated. Simon, you can mute and you can be seated. You can go sit with your family.
How do I do that?
Okay? All right. Just to break up the monotony, I'll move over here. When Asher became bar mitzvah 8 years ago, Rabbi Prezand and I were very excited. His portion was chukat. This Torah portion has several meaningful parts to it. We wondered, would he discuss Moses hitting the rock, going against God's direction? Maybe because of his sadness from Miriam's death. Might he discuss his brother Aaron's death? Or the interesting story about snakes? Much to our surprise, he chose to study the part about the red heifer. And Sally and I felt it was the least interesting. However, She did her best to discuss it with him, and he found it fascinating that something so rare and almost impossible would be sought after, a completely flawless red heifer. Now I've come to realize that this fascination was probably tied in pursuit to his pursuit of what he called rare things, like an unusual collectible Pokemon or a plastic animal go-go figure. These were of keen interest to his 13-year-old mind. Now, Asher, you did a good job making this section interesting, and we are so glad that our congregation has young adults like you and your brother who will come read Torah and help us lead the service on occasion. And we are really thrilled that it's also in honor of your 21st birthday. Now, although we came to learn that the red heifer was very fascinating, tonight I'm focusing on the venomous snakes in Parshat Chukat. The Jews had left Egypt, and they had received the Torah, and they were now wandering in the desert for 40 years. They have many new challenges, keeping their faith and surviving. And in this Parsha, the Israelites continue to hone their epic skill of complaining, how things are never good enough, and why did we change? I say that this is something that will serve them very well in a few thousand years when they lead synagogues and often speak about how things are never good enough and why did we change everything. These are important skills for every synagogue to have. Now, right now, the Israelites in the Torah are especially concerned about the lack of water and the emptiness they feel of their life in the desert. At this point, tired of the complaining, God sends burning snakes to bite the Israelites and cause them to die. The people go to Moses and admit, "We know that we shouldn't have complained so much about this new life. Please ask God to get rid of the snakes." Moses, on their behalf, begs and pleads to God. And interestingly, God instructs Moses to build a high platform with an enormous fiery copper snake wrapped around it. God said, make sure the snake is coiled around the post, and then get everyone who was bitten to look up at the snake and to stare at the sculpture. All who do so will be healed, and they will live. So immediately upon hearing this instruction from God, which seems to go against the commandment not to create idols and not to worship idols, the Israelites do this and they do not die. The difference, we are told here, is that God specifically instructed Moses to build this snake. Its purpose was not to be a deity. The snake has a very significant place within Judaism. Since the very beginning in the Garden of Eden, the snake represents spiritual immaturity. The snake is that part of our head sometimes, often called the evil inclination, which leads us down the wrong path and sends us negative messages of fear and doubt in our own hearts. There are times when we're on the right road, journeying towards great things. But if we don't see immediate results, we start to doubt ourselves and get scared. That little voice in our head says, maybe this is wrong. Let's try something else. Something easier, less risky, and something we've done before. God's instruction to build a large copper snake is not idolatry, but it was a psychological technique to help the Israelites remove fear. This fear was causing them to lose faith in God and Moses and the promise of freedom. Mental health professionals work with their patients to help them admit what their fear actually is and to look squarely at it and ask themselves, what am I so frightened of? Why does this scare me so much? This is why the Torah remains relevant today. Thousands of years before Sigmund Freud and B.F. Skinner, our Torah and tradition understands and guides us and tells us that that voice in our heads that tells us to get scared and to give up, that voice is going to prevent us and not allow us to confront our own fears and try new things. This was such a valuable lesson that we learned about asserting ourselves thousands of years ago in the desert. And this lesson is one that we must all keep in mind as we go on our life's journey. That voice in our head that tells us to be scared, to give up. Torah teaches us that we have to walk right up to our fears and say, you don't scare me. I'm going to keep on keeping on, trying new things, and getting out of my comfort zone. The traditional symbol for medicine is a picture of the two coiled snakes. And the traditional symbol, historians tell us, comes from the ancient Greek tradition. It may be the Greek god of healing, Asclepius, or maybe the god Hermes, who saw two snakes fighting. Like our own people like to argue and disagree, there are many explanations for this symbol. The only point agreed upon among Greek historians is that it does come from ancient Greece. However, Jewish scholar Malki Rose suggested maybe this symbol is from the Torah. When we looked at snakes in the face and we heal ourselves by confronting our fears and our own little voices that hold us back when we're actually already on the right path. Shabbat Shalom. We are blessed to have amazing volunteers in our synagogue, and we call Harry Hilson to the bima to tell us what's going on in our synagogue and what we must keep on our calendars.
Oh, this one. Shabbat Shalom and good evening to everyone here and to everyone watching on the streaming. My name is Harry Hilson. I am the Senior Vice President here at Monmouth Reformed Temple. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us tonight. I stepped down as VP after many years in 2 weeks, and I want to give a very personal thank you to Barbara and to the Cantor for all you do constantly and consistently on behalf of our temple. Thank you. And thanks to Simon for co-leading and to Asher for Torah reading tonight. Some announcements. MRT is collecting for the Shine a Light program. Check your garages for old bicycle helmets for adults and children in good condition. A collection bin is outside the front door of Temple. Contact Dean Ross with any questions. We are also collecting men's undergarments, toiletries, towels, and more for the center in Asbury Park. Containers are outside the front door of Temple and in the lobby. See the e-blast for more information about this collection. Our June virtual Tzedakah collection is supporting Family Resource Associates. FRA helps children, adolescents, and people of all ages with disabilities to reach their fullest potential. They provide home-based early intervention for infants, therapeutic recreational programs, pre-vocational and educational classes for adults, along with family and sibling support groups. Donations will be matched by our co-sponsors, Rabbi Klein and Lori Bernard, and also by Cheryl and Steve Gaudette. Upcoming events, please check your email and the weekly e-blast for further information. First, a non-event. Tomorrow morning, there is no Torah study. Also tomorrow, June 19th, there is a Juneteenth celebration in Asbury Park from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. Further information is on the Asbury Park website. We have an adult ed program, the virtual tour of Haifa, which will take place on Zoom this coming Thursday, June 24th at 7:30. Please RSVP by June 20th, and again, the details are in the e-blast. A week from tonight, next Friday, June 25th, is the beach service at 7 Presidents Park in Long Branch. It's a bring-your-own dinner at 6 p.m., no alcohol, please, followed by a 7 o'clock service. It will not be live streamed. It will be co-led by Cantor Clissold and by Rabbi Ourach. Our synagogue continues to engage together in meaningful ways. We would love for more people to invest in our mission of helping others and connecting as a Jewish community. We welcome your investment and gift to help us continue to grow. For information on joining our MRT family or making a donation, please contact Jordana Steinberg in the office or visit our website, www.monmouthreformtemple.org. Rabbi Klein and the Cantor are always available. And please check your emails and the e-blast very carefully the next 2 weeks. There's quite a bit of new information that would be of interest to everybody. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Harry and Dory. Shabbat Shalom. Although Harry won't be maybe going to the board meeting, he promised that he's going to remain a helpful and active volunteer. I can't even begin to list how many things Harry does for our congregation. He is unbelievably generous with his time and expertise. And maybe Wayne will find a job or two for you, I'm sure. Before I continue with our closing prayer, I want to echo what Harry said about our love for Dr. Barbara Thompson. And I can't even express how grateful I am to you, Barbara. Our closing prayer is called Am Yisrael Chai. Wait, I skipped Elenu? Why don't we skip Elenu? Here we go. Oh, so close. See, Barbara told me. Barbara knows what I skipped. Here we go. I didn't mean to disappoint anyone. We're on page 586. We continue with our Elenu prayer.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, matei gdula yotzei b'reishit,
שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצא את הארץ, הוא יושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה ברומים, הוא אלוהינו עינון. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We continue with our memorial prayer. On page 597. Our thoughts turn to those who've departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are numbered, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss and life and death. This week, we are especially remembering Henry Bud Coyne, Samuel Danzig, Stuart Layden, David J. Carl, Stephen Berkowitz, Samuel Semmer, Rose Deutsch, Samuel Brenner, Gerald Friedman, William Kravitz, Gloria Sabin, Victoria Bob, Francis Herman, Jack Finkelstein, Meyer Rothman, Howard Hockman, Erwin Wachtel, Theodore Rosenfeld. And to their names in our period of Shloshim, we remember Malcolm Goldsmith and Anya Bolotin. We think of our loved ones who have died, and we draw them into our hearts, as together we say on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad yivrach v'yoteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayeh b'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'bizman kariv v'emru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei kudisha b'richu. Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbichata v'nechemata, damiram v'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imrumav, uyaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom v'imromav, uyaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Please be seated. And now it's time for our closing song.
I guess so.
Right. Did I skip anything else? Okay. All right. On page 642, we sing about how the Jewish people lives. Am Yisrael Chai. And this is a clap in it.
Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai.
Back to the beginning.
Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Hey, Od Avinu, Od Avinu, Od Avinu Chai. Od Avinu Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai. Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Am Yisrael Chai.
Thank you, everyone who joined us here in person on live stream. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Thank you, Simon, Asher, Dory, and Harry. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Now we're going to do the motzi.
Oh, man.
What am I going to do without Barbara here? Okay. Actually, you know what? Leave it covered. It's more sanitary. And go ahead over to your mic. Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
And now, Simon, you can uncover it after you mask up and hand it out.
You stole my mask.
Oh,
No, it's okay.
I got it.
Oh.
All right. Harry's going to handle it. See, Harry does everything. Thank you, Harry.
Yeah. I sure hope that's it.
Simon, turn